Quaid Azam Part 233. Cripps questioned Jinnah on his recent call for Muslims to celebrate 22 December as a day of deliverance from Congress, provincial governments. It is from this that a proposal of resuming dialogue between Jinnah and Nehru emerged, with Cripps deducing that Jinnah was willing. The difficulty of progress became clear the very next day when Cripps suggested to Nehru that he should meet Jinnah. Nehru insisted upon a prior abandoning of the proposed Deliverance Day celebrations, a demand impossible for Jinnah to concede as the League was leading the celebration of deliverance of the Muslims from Congress misrule. The Congress, anxious not to do any build-up Jinnah, as a meeting with him could have done, plus signifying a concession of his demand of being sole spokesman of the Muslim, did not, on their part, pursue the idea any further. The tour This tour of Cripps helped him to deduce that while the Congress was prepared to hold its hands for a limited period of time in the hope of a solution being arrived at, it could not indefinitely wait for Britain to grant the substance of its request. The resignation of the Congress ministries made more likely an option, and adoption of extra constitutional campaigns to strengthen their support base amongst the masses. At the same time, Jinnah's appeal for a day of deliverance had indisputable overtones of communal anger, thus again underscoring the need for prior negotiations between the League and the Congress. These negotiations were now vital, however, in the path remained fixedly those old obstacles. Congress would just not recognize the authority of the League to be the sole negotiator for the Muslims, and the League could scarcely stop claiming to be just that. His Majesty's government would therefore have to intervene and offer a constitutional prospect acceptable to both as a prerequisite of their cooperation, and do all this quite early. Here cropped up another obstacle. It was only the Viceroy that could so bring the two together, though Cripps concluded among Indians and Englishmen alike there existed serious doubts about the Viceroy Linlithgow's negotiating skills. There then got added yet another debility. The Viceroy's executive until then was composed on the basis of the 1919 India Act, comprised of the Viceroy himself, then the Commander-in-Chief India, 3 British officials with 10 years experience of India, and 3 non-official Indians. In Britain, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain's cabinet had stalwarts like Sir Samuel Hoare, Lord Privy Seal, Sir John Simon, Chancellor of the Exchequer, and Lord Halifax, Foreign Secretary, all of whom Churchill, now First Lord of the Admiralty, despised as pygmies. He held them responsible for Britain's pusillanimous Indian policy. Britain's pusillanimous Indian policy. Inevitably thereafter, in the cabinet discussion in Linlithgow's proposed move for an enlarged central executive, Churchill remained fixedly against yielding to the pressures of parties who were, after all, only exploiting the dangers with which Britain was faced. The cabinet did finally agree, but the subject to the Viceroy being instructed that for any change 3 tests must be satisfied. The supreme power of the Viceroy must remain intact. Britain's freedom to deploy forces in India must not be affected, and there must not be there must be no constitutional legislation during the war, plus no such promises as would bind the British Parliament after the war.